Right. In this business analyst simulation series, me being the product owner of Lazard application, today we're going to talk about epics and user stories. Yeah. So basically, it is very important for a product owner to make sure they define epics properly, features and user stories properly, so that the entire team, like developers, designers, let's say testers, deployment engineers, they all have clarity as to what exactly has to be developed from their perspective, so that we can deliver a quality product to customers on time. What is epic? So epic is like a very large thing. Assume it is like a very big thing, like a mountain, right? So now we are going to cut the mountain into pieces. Those pieces are called as features. And in fact, we're going to take that piece and further divide it into small granular particles, which is called as user story. This I told in the layman term. Now let us see in the technical terms. So epic is a term used to describe a large body of work and that can be broken down into smaller tasks or stories. Okay, so basically epics are basically used to organize large complex projects by providing a very high level view so that we can know what is that work that needs to be done. It is very important first to provide the surface level data so that people get to know, at least it's like setting the direction. Okay, this is the direction that you need to go. And so that I get to know how to go there, and how to go there is all about features and user stories. For example, as an online seller, I need to manage the product online so that I can update my customers about the product, right? So for example, we being the Lazada application people, which is a product, right? Let's say that as an online seller, uh, they have to add a product to our portfolio, or they need to delete the product, or they need to update the product. Okay, so what will that online seller do? Right, as an online seller, I can add the new product so that customers can purchase new options, right? As an online seller, not only adding the product, I should also be able to update the existing product so that I can adjust the pricing. When I say update, it can be the product image can be updated, or the product price can be updated, the product features can be updated, the description can be updated, anything can be updated, the product, what is available, the colors, or is there any extra features that is available? So everything, right? Basically, editing anything about the product is called a updation, and an online seller must be allowed to do that. And also, as an online seller, I can delete the product so that I can remove the products that I don't sell. So let's say for XYZ reason, the online seller got to know that XYZ product is not doing well, right? And they don't want to sell it anymore. So they can very well go to our platform and delete that product. Of course, we have to set a particular permission for that. So on conversation with customers or the clients, we have to make sure that this feature is also available to that respective online seller, right? So now, as you can see, Epic is like, as an online seller, I should be able to do all these things, correct? So now let us see how can we further go. Like, for example, an Epic can be further divided into smaller things called as features, and a feature can also be further divided into smaller things called as user stories. User story is like the smallest particle, right? So that it is very crystal clear for the developer as to what exactly has to be developed as part of this user story. Like, for example, user management is an epic, right? So in Lazada application, user management is one big thing, a very high level thing. So what and all we do in user management? A user should be allowed to sign up, which is called as registration, or a user should be allowed to sign in using the social sign in like Gmail or Facebook or Twitter, or they also should have the features like forgot password, change password. It can be any number of things, just the high level things I've mentioned here, right? So as you can see, user management is one big thing, and sign up, sign in, forgot password, change password are the sub things under the user management. But again, when I say a developer, okay, I am the product owner. Now we go ahead and develop the sign up page. Do you think it is very easy for the developer? No. You have to tell what goes as part of sign up page, right? So as part of sign up page, I have to mention there's a username field, there's a password field, right? There can be any number of fields, mobile number and all those things. I've just mentioned the high levels here. And now I have to go and say what should be the length of the username field and what kind of character should be allowed, what should be the length of the password, and it should be masked, right? And what are there any special characters allowed? If yes, what? And what are the special characters that is not allowed? So all those restrictions I should mention in that user story. And also, what about the API response? The moment a user comes, enters the username and password and hits on sign in button or the submit button, there is an API call that happens in the backend, right? We all know that. So when that API call happens, the request is sent and we get the response. In that response, we should see, okay, for this particular user, are we getting the username and password? Of course, in the response, we get it. That is how we have designed our application. But then the password should not be displayed, right? So that is a restriction. So upon sign in, where the user should go, like the home page or XYZ page, right? In our case, it's the home page. So all these granular details we have to mention so that the developer gets to know what exactly has to go as part of this user story. Can you now see how crystal clear it is? So this granular thing is called as user story. So going further, user story is a small unit of work, as I told, and it is told from user perspective and explaining a desired functionality. User story shifts the focus from writing a requirement to talking about them. So things to consider while writing a user story. You should know who is our customer and what will satisfy them. What do they need? User story format. So, for example, as like who, like as a type of user, what I would like to do and why I need to do it. For example, as a user or as a customer, I would like to sign in so that I can purchase the products online, right? This can be one user story format. So there's difference between requirements and user stories. So requirement is all from system perspective. It is all like technical things. User story is from layman language, a user perspective. Requirement is like a traditional methodology. User story is like an agile methodology. And one-time elicitation is a requirement. Collaborative effort is a user story. Business analyst owns the requirement, whereas group ownership is for a user story. Let me tell it in a very layman terms. For example, we know that there was something called as waterfall model, there was a V model, and now we are following the agile methodology, we are following the Kanban methodology based on the project, right? So for example, agile. When I say collaborative effort, see, for example, what used to happen in the waterfall? What used to happen? The requirement has to be there. We're preparing the requirements document. We're preparing the functional requirements document. All those things, right? And designers will come. They're going to design the SRS and all those things. So once the requirement phase is frozen, then only they want to go to the design phase. Once the design is frozen, then only development. Once the development is frozen, then only testers are allowed to test the requirement, right? Once the testers are done with the testing, then only it goes back to it goes to the deployment phase and it goes to the maintenance phase after release. But now the question is, what if during the testing, we got to know there was some gap in the requirements itself and the development itself took place in the wrong direction. Then the whole effort, whole time, and the money that is spent for it, everything is vain, right? So that is why what I did in agile methodology, we want to take part by part. First, we're going to take only the sign in or the sign up. Okay, first sign up in this sprint. Sprint can be 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, depending on the project again. And in that sprint, there will be developers, there will be testers, there will be deployment engineers, there will be product owner. Okay, all these people will be there, and there will be Scrum Master. So it is a collaborative effort. So now the developer is developing the first week. In the first week itself, the tester also should come up with all the possible scenarios that can be tested as part of this user story. So now the developer knows, okay, this perspective is also there. Okay, this condition should also be added. Can you see it is a collaborative effort? And also once it is delivered to the tester in the second week of the sprint, when the tester is testing, the tester can come up saying this is not okay, that is not okay. So now it is, as soon as the development is done with a collaborative effort, the tester is going to say what is wrong and the developer can fix it then and there. Can you see? We are eliminating the whole process of this effort, time and money. It is saved drastically. That is nothing but agile methodology. And that is where user story is going to come into picture, right? Now, there are 3 C's that is very important for a user stories. One is card, one is conversation, and one is confirmation. What is card? Card is nothing but statement of what is required. Like as I said, as a user, I need this so that I can do this. Created on the tool as a story. What is the intention of this card? It's a conversation starter. Now, coming to this next C, the second C, which is conversation. So this is all about the team to discuss the details of the card statement with product owner. And the third C is confirmation, acceptance criteria to confirm the story, right? So the intention is what must be done in place for the product owner to accept the user story. So every user story, there are different parts. Now, as I told, user story is a granular particle that is available for the developer to develop. Fine, this is fine. But then as part of user story, there has to be certain requirements. The user story title should be clear. And the user story points should be there. What is the user story point? Like how many days of effort is required for the user story to be completed? And then acceptance criteria. So how will you say whether the user story can be accepted for development? Only when the acceptance criteria is mentioned, right? What is acceptance criteria? What and all has to go? It has to be crystal clear, basically. For example, the sign up page. I should know what fields exist. I should know what are the restrictions for that. There has to be a wireframe for that so that I should know visually how it should be, right? I'm not clicking on submit where it has to go. So everything I should know. Only when I get to know the crystal clear clarity, that is nothing but acceptance criteria, as a developer, I can go ahead and develop that, right? Now, there is invest criteria. It can be elaborated as shown here. It is a user story should be independent. It should not be dependent on each other. It has to be independent. It has to be negotiable. It has to be valuable. You should know the value of it. You should know, okay, when I complete this, right? For example, as a product owner, when I write this user story, I know when this user story is completed, then what is that value that we are delivering to the customers is really very important. And it has to be estimatable. What do you mean by estimatable? For example, I require 4 days. As a developer, I require 4 days to develop this user story. As a tester, I require 3 days to test this user story. So there is 7 days of effort, right? And it has to be small. It should not be very big. Very big is called as epic. A smaller part of epic is a feature. Granular part is called as a user story. And it has to be testable, right? For example, I can give you an example. Let's say that there is a requirement saying that, so user story in the sign up thing, right? For example, username. Let's say the username, for example, let me take my name, Ramyeshri, right? Ramyeshri username, it has to be used only for Lazada application. Let's say I should not have used it for Gmail or Facebook or Twitter. It should have been that username should be used only for Lazada application. So me being a Lazada tester, can I really go and test it whether that username is not there in any of the other websites? No, I can't, right? It is not possible. So that is not testable, right? So like that, it has to be testable. But I can test, for example, if Ramyeshri username is taken by me and some other user also comes and signs up as Ramyeshri, now my application should say, okay, this username is already taken. Please try XYZ. Show the options. That is possible and that is testable. But whether the same username is being used by some other application over the internet is not testable. So it has to be testable. And use case and user story example. For example, user story examples for the login or the sign up process that we are discussing, right? As a new site user, I need the ability to create a username that is not my email address so that I can have an identity on the site. Correct. As a new site user, I need the ability, can you see, the format of the user story. As a new site user, I need the ability to create a secure password over 15 characters so that I have a private account. As a site user, I need the ability to reset my password from the standard login screen so that I can access my account if I forget the password without having to navigate elsewhere. Okay, these are the user story examples for the sign up process. So there's something called as accessibility also, right? So let's say that we have to provide our application for people who are visually impaired or they're not able to hear, right? There are some impairments. So as a developer, I need to make sure color ratios are correct so that my website is accessible to users with visual impairments. As a developer, I need to make sure audio instructions are available so that my website is accessible to users with visual impairments, right? Next, there's something called a spike also. What is a spike? See, for example, in Agile, let us be realistic. Always do we have crystal clear clarity before the developer is developing? No. It has happened from my experience where I've spoken to customers and they themselves are not very clear as to what exactly they want. Customer on the first week, they'll say they want this, ABC, and they'll say, no, no, I don't want B, I want D, ADC. On the second week. On the third week, they're going to come and say, no, no, we got to know something else is also there. So I don't want all these things together. I mean, completely, I want XYZ. So can you see when the requirement itself is changing, how can you develop something when there is no clarity in requirements? So there too happens where the customer is clear about some things, the customer is not clear about certain things. In that case, we do perform something called a spike. So in Agile, particularly in Scrum, a spike is a time-boxed research activity aimed at gaining the knowledge necessary to reduce uncertainty or explore solutions to a specific problem. It's often used when the team lacks sufficient information to estimate or implement a user story. So I told from the customer's perspective, either the requirement itself can be clear. So in order to tell the customer, these are all the possibilities if this is a requirement. If you say the requirement too, these are all the possibilities. So the customer themselves can become clear, okay, fine, then I want this. That is one possibility. Otherwise, the customer can say, I want this. But then we are not sure as to how exactly it can be implemented. And if there are different kinds of implementations, then what are all the risks that can be associated with that? So something that you're not very clear and you need to do a research in that, that is called a spike. Okay, so user story provides business value and the spike can be taken as a task and it provides no business value, but then it is necessary for us to create a user story in case we are not very clear. So user story makes sense to end user, whereas a task does not make sense to the end user. So splitting the user stories. So I told user story is the smallest granular particle, but then it can be, let's say for some reason, even the user story appears to be big. In such cases, what can we do? Smaller user stories, we have to further divide the user story in case if it is big. Usually that is not the case. So why do we split, right? Smaller user stories are easier to understand. It helps in identifying what is required and what is not required. And also it provides faster feedback loop. So this is all about user stories and epics. I hope you understood where exactly this epics features and user stories comes into picture in this agile. In the next session, we're going to further talk about this. Stay tuned. In this business analyst simulation series, we're going to continue our discussion regarding epics and user stories. Yeah. So in our last session, we discussed about user stories, right? Why do we split user stories? So just a review here. We split the user stories into its smallest particles so that it is easier to understand and it helps in identifying what is required and what is not required and it helps to provide faster feedback loop. Having said this, we'll see what is vertical slicing. Now, there is something, there are two ways that you can split the user story. One way is vertical slicing and one way is horizontal slicing. Vertical slicing means, see, can you see the diagram where we have UI, which is the front end, logic, and database, which is the back end. So there is a concept called as horizontal slicing, where each of these individual particles, or I can say individual items, are delivered separately. First UI is delivered, maybe next logic is delivered, or maybe next database is delivered. That is something called as horizontal slicing. But having said that, what will a customer do only with UI? Nothing much. What will the customer do only with database? Nothing much. But what if all the three things are combined and provided to the user? Then the user can use that product, right? That is called as vertical slicing. So vertical slicing means breaking a user story into smaller, more manageable chunks that deliver a complete working feature from end to end. Each slice should represent a fully functional piece of the product that delivers value to the user. For example, instead of building UI, backend, database separately, as I told, which is nothing but horizontal slicing, you split the user story to deliver a small usable feature like login with email that touches all the three layers, UI, backend, and database. So which is usable for the user. This is called as vertical slicing. Now, there is a method called as WASUR method for this, splitting the user story. So W stands for workflow steps, A for acceptance criteria, H for happy or unhappy path, Z for 0 or 1 or many, U for user rules or personas, R for rules. Let us go into each of these steps one by one. Workflow steps. So as a customer, I need to pay for my goods so that the products can be delivered at home. So what should I do initially for that? As a customer, I need to log into my account so that I don't have to enter my shipping information every time. Correct, because the shipping information would have already been saved for this particular login. So as a customer, I need to confirm my order so that I can correct, so that I can avoid mistakes before paying. As a customer, I need to pay with my credit card so that the order can be confirmed. As a customer, I need to receive the confirmation mail so that I have a proof of my order. These are the workflow steps, step by step. Next, A stands for acceptance criteria. So acceptance criteria is nothing but for me as a developer to work or to develop a user story. What is the basic minimum requirement? The clarity, right? Each and everything. That is nothing but acceptance criteria. So acceptance criteria is a list of conditions that a user story must be satisfied before it is accepted by PO as done. For example, I can see the reward points, I can select the reward points, I can check the balance point left. So as a customer, I can redeem my reward points so that I can use while shopping the items online. As a customer, I should be able to view my reward point so that I can check whether to redeem my reward points or not. As a customer, I can select my reward points so that I can redeem for shopping. As a customer, I can check the balance so that I can view, update balance to spend further. Next, H stands for happy or unhappy paths. So what is a happy path? As a customer, I need to log into my account and continue shopping. Correct. What is the happy path for that? As a customer, I will log in and I'll continue shopping. What is the unhappy path? As a customer, let's say I forgot my password or I have to reset my password. In that case, I reset my password when login fails so that I can log in with my new password. Another unhappy path is, as an online seller, I can block the user after 3 attempts so that I can protect the account from unauthorized users, right? So there are two kinds of customers here, or three kinds of customers for an application. One is the seller, one is the buyer. And third one is ourselves for the Lazada application maintainers, I can say. So let's say that there is a user who tries to log in, but there are 3 attempts. After 3 attempts, we are not allowing the user to log in for a certain duration of time in order for the security thing, right? So as an online seller, I block the user after 3 attempts so that I protect the account from unauthorized users. So Z stands for 0 or 1 or many. The agile team may find that they have a high quality stories, but they are still too long. This is when they can use the hyper fine splitting. It works on 0 or 1 or many concepts to help break user stories down further into vertical slices. So, when the agile team takes the 0 or 1 or many approaches, they have to answer the following 3 questions. What will happen if they deal with nothing? What will happen if they deal with just one thing? What will happen if they deal with many things? Let's see an example for this. So as an online buyer, I need to review my cart before checking out, correct? So as a customer, I should allow the customer to review the cart when there are 0 items selected. I should also allow the customer to review the cart when there's just 1 item selected. I should allow the customer to review the cart when there are multiple items selected. So user personas. If a user story involves multiple user roles or personas, you can split it based on these distinctions. So as a website user, I can create an account in the website so that I can log in into my account. So as a website user, I can create customer account so that I can log in into the account to buy whatever I want, to buy the products, to buy the essentials. So as I told, there is a customer who's a buyer, there's a seller also, right? So as a website user, I can create seller account so that I can log in into the account, right? And I can sell my products. As a registered user with website, I can use membership discount so that I can buy the goods which are on discount, right? These are the different kinds of user roles that we are allowing the Lazada application into the Lazada application. And R stands for rules. So business rules define specific instructions or constraints on how certain day-to-day actions should be performed. For example, as an online seller, I want to process the orders so that I can deliver the order to customer, right? So as an online seller, I can decline the order. See, it is up to me. Let's say you have as a customer, as a buyer, let's say that you have bought certain t-shirt. You already paid for it. Let's say you have paid for it. Okay. So now it is up to me to process your request, or it is up to me to decline your request, right? So as online seller, I can decline the order which is below $10 so that the shipping charges will be more, correct? Or I can decline the order based on the location. Let's say I don't cater to your location. In that case, also as an online seller, I can decline the request. Or I can cancel the order as a whole because the payment is not successfully processed. So there is something called as, so till now we spoke about vertical splitting of user story using the WASO method. Now we'll go to the next topic, which is called as the minimum viable product. Using this vertical splitting of user story, we are delivering the minimum viable product to the customer. So what is this minimum viable product all about? A minimum viable product, which is MVP, short form, is a concept from the lean startup methodology. So which is emphasizing on the simplified version of the product with the minimum features required to meet the needs of an early adopters and gather feedback. See, for example, in our Lazada application, I tell in the further slides, let's say that the minimum viable product can be one order, right? So, for example, let's say our passport, right? In our passport, there is something called as Tatkal, or there is something called as express delivery. So many things are there. Let's say one will take 15 days and one more like express delivery takes just 2 days. Just an example I'm giving. So let's say in Lazada application, while delivering the products to customers, we are not encountering all this express delivery and all. We're just encountering we should deliver the product to the customer, right? In that case, we're just focusing on that normal delivery. That is the minimum viable product that we're talking about, which completes the one entire flow, okay, with just the basic necessities. That is nothing but a minimum viable product in layman terms. Now, the primary goal of MVP is to quickly bring a product to the market to test its viability and gather insights from the customers for further development. Here are some key characteristics of an MVP. It can range from a demo video to a working software. Okay. See, for example, in our Lazada application, as you can see in the blue cards, there are so many things, right? There's so many features. But then, like we just talk about the managed product and the find product. In under managed product, again, what do you mean by managing something? You can add, you can delete, you can update, right? That is what we have done here. You can add a product, remove a product, edit product, add description for that product, add photo of that product, add video for that product. And if you see that find product, you can do a basic search, browse category, you can do advanced search, you can do recommendation, you can do top selling and all those things, right? But do you think all these things should go as part of MVP? Let's see that. Before going ahead with that MVP, let's talk about user story mapping. What is user story mapping? Use techniques like user story mapping to visualize the user journey and organize related user stories. This helps team understand the overall flow of the product and prioritize features accordingly. Let's say, for example, um, we are going to deliver this sign up feature, which is nothing but a registration, right? Let's say I develop a sign up feature and also I develop a like like the basic search feature. Once the user logs into the application, he lands on the homepage and now he's allowed to search for a product. Let's say this is one thing. Another thing, I will develop the sign up feature and directly I'll develop the payment feature. Do you think they're related? Of course, without payment, a customer cannot buy a product. But just after sign in, how come without adding to cart, without searching for the product, how can I just pay, right? It is not logically correct. So now these two are two unrelated features. So user story mapping is all about making sure that you categorize the user stories logically so that you're adding more value to the customers, right? So for example, if you can see place order and place order and remember are the two things. If you talk about paying payment, you can make payment by credit card, debit card, by PayPal, or it can be on cash, like pay on delivery, right? This is user story mapping. So coming back to MVP, as you can see here, once login is performed, I can add the product or remove the product from the cart. I can do basic search. I can browse by category. I can see the details of that product. I can sign up all those things, right? Sign up via email or sign up with social logins. I can add to cart, place order. I can place the order and ask it to remember. I can pay by credit card. I can do normal delivery. So this is the minimum viable product that I can deliver to the customer. So I'm not allowing debit card or PayPal or cash on delivery initially. I'm just asking, as of now, credit card option is the only available feature. As of now, normal delivery is the only available feature. We are not focusing on expressing delivery. That is still not yet developed. Okay. Now, can you see it is still end-to-end flow where the user can still use our product. This is called as the minimum viable product. And now let's talk about estimating user stories. So let's say for the sign up feature itself, we have sign up registration using email or the sign in via the social logins, Google, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. Or we have let's just take these all forward password, change password, all these things, right? Now I'll ask the developer how many days you require for you to complete this particular user story. Let's say change password. How many days you require or how many hours you require. I'll ask the tester also how many days or hours you require. So it depends on the project. In certain projects, 6 hours is considered as 1 day. In certain projects, 8 hours is considered as 1 day. Let's say for change password, the developer says the API is there or not, he'll check. If the API is there, then development is less because development is both front end and back end also, right? So let's say API is already there, then the developer says 2 days is required. 2 days is enough. Let's consider 8 hours as the one working day. So in that case, 16 hours he will put. Okay. And tester says I require 8 hours. In that case, the tester she says 1 hour I will put. Sorry, 1 day I will put. So they're like this. They're based on that number of hours, we're going to estimate the user stories as it is XS, which is extra small size or small size, medium size or large size or extra large size, right? That is called as t-shirt sizing. There's one more way of estimating the user stories, which is called as the Fibonacci user stories. We'll look into that one by one. First, let's talk about the t-shirt sizing. Okay. So, you place the item and what is the size of that item? Size means what is the number of hours you require to develop that user story. So each item has a size estimate. Most estimates are story point or ideal day estimates. Very large items near the bottom may not have an estimate or may be estimated in t-shirt sizes. See, for example, let's say less than 2 weeks. We're going to consider as extra small. This is just an example. Again, it depends on the project, right? Let's say 1 sprint is required, then we consider it as small. 2 sprints is required, we consider it as medium. Again, what is a sprint? It can be 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It depends on that particular project. Large is considered as 4 sprints. Extra large is considered as 8 sprints. Anything larger than 8 sprints is considered as double XL. This is called as feature size. Sorry, t-shirt sizing. And why do we do this? So that we as a team can tell to the customer, this user story requires this much amount of time for us to develop. So the customer is also having an idea. Okay, fine. They are telling it realistically so that the pressure is not more on us because we are giving the realistic deadlines. There is one more kind of estimating called as Fibonacci series. Okay. So let's say there are different user stories, right? Okay. In this different user stories, what is happening is that uh, let's say there are 5 user stories in the sprint. And let's take user story number 3, and we know everything about that user story. Okay, then it is easy for us. Crystal clear clarity is there, right? There are no dependencies, so it just takes one story point, which is like 1 day, right? Or 8 hours. The example that I gave here is just an example. Let's say it is like taking less than 2 hours, it's just taking one story point. So half a day means 2 story points. You know something about it, but there can be some dependency, so it can take up to 3 days. Let's say user story 1 and 2 has to be completed for user story 3 to be delivered. In that case, there's a dependency, right? So I have to wait for user story 3 till 1 and 2 are completed. So it'll take, and I have to test user story 1 and 2 also as part of user story 3 because that's how they're related to each other. In that case, it'll take some extra time. So this is how we're going to rate it in Fibonacci series. Okay. Now, coming to the velocity, there is something called as velocity. Now, let's say it's a very new agile project. So we are not aware of the velocity. Let's say the project is there from past 1 year. So we do have some history, right? Like how this team is performing, how many story points can they deliver in a sprint, all those things. So that is nothing but velocity. Velocity is the amount of work your team gets through in a set amount of time. So team velocity is how many story points a team can complete in a given sprint. Means the average number of story points a team can complete in a given sprint. For example, let's say there is a product backlog and we have committed 12 points as a team. But now we delivered just 10. For XYZ reason, let's say there was a production bug that came into picture. So we had to de-scope something out of this sprint, or maybe some person was not well in the team, or maybe there was server down, unexpected thing happened. And then because of that, we were able to deliver only 10 story points. So even though estimated velocity is 12 points, the actual velocity is 10 points. Okay. Now, let's say the project is working from past 1 year or 2 years. In that case, there's something called as the velocity. As you can see here, team ignition. Consider the second figure where we have sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, and sprint 4. In sprint 1, we deliver 28 story points. In sprint 2, we deliver 36 story points. Sprint 3, deliver 28 story points again. And in sprint 4, we deliver 30 story points. All this put together is 122. And we have to divide it by number of sprints, which is 4, right? 122 by 4 is 30.5. And that's why we say the velocity of our team based on the past history is 30.5, which means I can easily tell to the customer in the next sprint, I can easily deliver 30.5 story points because that is the capacity of the team, which we have already proved, right? So this is all about the epics and user stories. We have spoken in the previous session as well. What is an epic? What is a feature? What is a user story? And in the session, we spoke about how do we split the user stories. And we also spoke about at the end, what are the different kinds of estimation techniques and what are the velocity of the team. I hope this will give you a very good idea of where all this comes into picture as part of the Agile team. Thank you.
Thanks, team, for providing a theoretical session on best practices for creating effective, clear, and actionable user stories. And now it's time for live simulation. So our team is going to present how to convert requirement into user stories. And to help us, we have Ramya as a product owner, Sahili as a business analyst, while the rest of us are the developers. So over to you, Ramya.
Sure. Thank you, Sunil. I'll share my screen and I'll explain. Yeah, is my screen visible to all?
Yes.
Yeah,
Next.
we can see.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So in this session, we're going to speak about epics and user stories. But before we speak about user stories and epics, we are going to see what are the list of epics that we have. But before that, me being a product owner, I would like to introduce you what is a product goal. A product goal is a target, and via a product, we're going to achieve that product goal. And our product goal for Lazada is we are going to provide affordable fashion for everyone with fast and reliable delivery. So these are the list of epics that we have. I'm just going go through the epics. We're going to deep dive into list of a couple of epics, but for now, it is about the timelines that we have, where we, with our discussion with the team, we have come up with these timelines. And we're going to talk about user management epic, order management epic, payment integration, performance and security, product listing and search functionality, inventory management, user reviews and ratings, product recommendations, customer support and help center, wish list, seller dashboard, sales analytics, and coming at last is the mobile app integration. So I'm going to go into each of this user story in detail. So this is our backlog where we have the list of all the user stories that have been related or linked to respective epics. So we're going to speak about, as I said, the payment integration, the top, but it is logically, it is user management, and we're going to talk about order management and then payment integration. Okay. So coming to the user management epic, in user management epic, we are going to talk about user registration and account creation, login and authentication, account, and we also have options to provide for social sign-ins and password reset and two-factor authentication. So let us go into each of these user stories in detail. Yeah. So coming to the user registration and account creation, I want to explain this via the wireframe that we have created. So here we ask the user, you can enter your email and you can come into our database, right? So that you can continue your shopping and have a beautiful shopping experience with us. So you're going to enter your name, you're going to enter your email, and you're going to confirm your email, and you're going to enter the password, and you have to proceed to a shopping site. So here, as part of this, right, we are going to, here we are going to say each of these fields is mandatory, and user is asked to confirm his or her email address, and we're going to send a confirmation link to their email, and they have to click on it, only post which we are going to add that user into our database. Okay.
I have a question, Ramya, if I can.
Yeah,
Take
sure.
that out. So as you mentioned that you are going to send a validation link to the user email address, and they have to confirm that, then only you know like it's the particular user who is trying to register. So is there any expiry timeline like within which the user has to do that, or how do you handle that one, or it's the links is going to be there forever for some time or a day or so? What is the timeline we are actually looking for?
Sure, Samir, that's a good question. So basically what we have planned with the team is that we are going to give a minimum space of 24 hours, slot 24 hours, and maximum of 48 hours. So we're going to send an email like a reminder email the second day that you had registered, but you have not activated your email, and do so for the second day. Within 24 hours, if they're going to activate, then that's not a problem. But even after 48 hours, if they're not able to activate their link, then they have to re-register. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it answers. Thanks. It's a good one, actually. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to go into the next user story. And this is all about login and authentication. So once, let's say that the user came into our website, they got registered, and now, but then, you know what, they cannot, there has to be certain validations that has to be done as part of each field, right? So as a returning user, I want the user, he can save their details, okay? And these are the rules. Basically, there has to be @ symbol, and it has to be a dot has to be there. It has to be case insensitive. We are not here, at least the username or the email that we allow the users to enter, it has to be case insensitive. And we don't allow any trailing spaces on either sides. And the maximum length that we are allowing is either 100 or 150 characters. I hope in most of the cases that should suffice. And coming to the password field, and both email and password have been made mandatory. And coming to the password field, it has to be minimum of 8 characters, and the maximum, it can be up to 32 characters. And they require at least 1 uppercase, 1 lowercase, 1 digit, and 1 special character. And password is case sensitive. I would just like to show the wireframe of this. So let's say they try to register and now they are logging in, right? Either the username or the email is invalid or the password is invalid. In that case, we are going to show the invalid email ID or password, right? So this is about the returning user who has got registered via email. Any questions on this part?
Yeah, hi Ramya. I just have a
Hi.
question on this. Can you
Mhm.
clarify the exact error message to display for incorrect email ID or password?
Yes, Rajesh. So invalid email ID or password, I think that is simple enough and should suffice for the user to understand that something is wrong. And it is intuitive for the user to re-enter his or her details.
Okay, fine. And if possible, can you include a mock-up showing where
Mhm.
and in what format the error message will appear?
Sure. If you can see here, like this is what we are going to show for the simple messages. But when I speak about the registration, right, as I told, there are certain password rules. Let's say they are not following the password rules, then we have to show like an inline error message below the respective fields, saying that, it has to be at least 8 characters, or it has to be at least containing at least 1 uppercase or lowercase. It has to contain at least 1 special digit, something like that. So we have not yet come into conclusion as to where exactly should we show, but this is for reference for now. We might change it in the future, but we are for sure going to tell the user that something has gone wrong. Please re-enter your details.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you. So coming to the next user story as part of user management epic. And here user is allowed to register via their social sign-in as well. Let's say via Facebook or via Google. And now, let's say Google is the one that they check, right? There is something called as two-factor authentication that I would like to speak, but there is a separate user story for that. So I'm just not going to into it. In a couple of minutes, I'll be talking about it. So the acceptance criteria as part of social sign-in is user can link their social media account to their e-commerce profile, and user can log in using that. And user is notified if linking is successful or fails. So we have Facebook, Google, Gmail, and Twitter. As of now, we are allowing these. And let's say for any reason they don't want to register directly with us and they want to use their social media accounts, and this suffices.
Hey Ramya, I had a
Mhm.
question here.
Mhm.
So what data are we exactly going to ask from users' Google or Facebook account during the sign-in process? And the second
Mhm.
question is that how do we handle the security or the data privacy concerns of the user?
Okay, that's a good question, Vaibhavi. And that is where I was coming as part of the 5th user story. But I don't mind explaining this because it can give continuity. So coming to the two-factor authentication, we are going to implement OAuth 2.0, where we are going to share only the secret keys between our application database and, let's say, Google or Facebook, whatever the user tries to select, their application database. And via the secret keys, we're going to share a username, email. Let's say the user is having a profile picture, that. But we are not going to share sensitive information like password or anything that is sensitive to the user. We are not going to ask for that secret key. It's only email, username, and profile picture if applied. So via this is one thing. And also we're going to let the users know that these are the details that we're going to ask from the selected social sign-in that you have selected. And via this, we are going to take the user consent as well, that they are okay for their information to be shared from their Google database or the Facebook database or Twitter database to our database. So via this mechanism, users are secure. And also, we are just asking the basic information, and user need not undergo the hassle of registration as well. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh,
So,
Ramya, I have a question regarding the username rules. So if multiple persons use the same username while registering, are you going to show any error messages, or what would be the message? Is there any feature like that to identify that?
Yes, Soumya. So basically, since we have either allowed username or email ID, right? We know that email ID is unique, so there is no problem there, but username need not be unique, right? So in that case, let's say that there is a username called as Alex. Then there is one more Alex from different parts of the world that they are going to log in. Then we're going to tell, okay, this is already there exists in our database. Not technically like database, like this username already exists. And we might show suggestions like Alex_123 or Alex_100. These are the suggestions, or you can do, you can select whatever you want from the options shown, or give some other username according to your wish. So username should be unique.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So coming to the next user story. Sorry for that. Yeah. Coming to the next user story. It's about password reset. Let's say for whatever reason, the user forgot their password, right? In that case, they can reset the password. So there is a forgot option link. And in that forgot option link, when they click from that login screen, they're going to be redirected here. And we're going to say the user enter registered email ID. Here also, we are going to make a validation saying that if the email ID is not registered, then we're going to send a message saying that the email ID is not registered. Please enter only the registered email ID or the valid email ID. If they are entering the registered email ID, then we are going to send, another activation link to their email, and clicking on which they can enter their new password and they can update the password. That's how this is going to work, right? So this covers all the user stories that we want as part of user management epic, which goes as part of MVP. I hope I have answered all the questions. If there are any questions as part of this epic, please do ask so. If not, I'll be moving to our next epic, which is order management. So coming to the order management epic, and in this order management epic, we are going to speak about add to cart, and we can edit the cart details. They can add the quantities, they can remove the quantities, they can add or remove the products. And place order is nothing but checkout, where they're going to add their address, where they're going to add their details, like what is, via what mechanism that they want, all those things, right? They want to be all those things. So let us go into each of the user stories. So in add to cart user story, let's say the user goes to the product details page, they add to cart. So that product with the selected, with the respective product image and the quantity with an option to add or remove, right? Add or decrease the quantity or remove the product altogether. These are the options provided. And at the end, we're going to show what is the total as well. Total of all the products put together. And once they're satisfied with their shopping cart, or they want to add some items, remove some items, when everything is done, then we are going to allow them to proceed to checkout page. Okay. So
can I ask one question, Ramya? So because it's
sure,
a good interface, and what happens? Let's say the first one you're swing winter jacket, and the second one is the black T-shirt. In your stock, let's say there are total 2 items, so you don't have enough stocks to fulfill the user needs, but the user is trying to add more number of items than what you have in your stock. So at that case, how do you handle? What is exactly the idea here is to prompt the user, or what are you going to do there?
Yeah. So basically, let's say that there is winter jacket. Let's say there are 100 items, right? So and already 90 items have been sold and the remaining are 10 items. And for whatsoever reason, if the current, let's say there are 5 different users who have logged in simultaneously and they're purchasing the same winter jacket, and for the 5th user, it is stocking out. For example, he selected and there is one, and let's say he wanted the second quantity as well for the same product, then that stock is not available at that point of time. So we do have implemented or planning to implement the API calls, which are dynamic enough to let the user know. So this is the available quantity for this respective item that you have selected. And please proceed with this. And otherwise, let's say it is 0, right? They had selected, but by the time they were about to check out, or by the time once they remove here and they wanted to re-add, by that time, if it is getting stocked out, then we show out of stock notification to the user telling that it has been stocked out and please to try after some time, or it has been stocked. So basically this is, and we can also send them an email notification when there is, when there is restock. So we are going to let the users know before they check out that there is out of stock notification.
Okay. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
and also we are going to, like, this is not applicable in the user interface. What we are planning to do internally is, let's say for winter jacket, we have 500 stocks, and let's say minimum is 200 and maximum is 800. So whenever the quantity goes less than 200, or when the quantity goes more than 800, based on the location of the users, then we can say for our internal purposes, okay, this has gone less than minimum. It is up to us for us to, make the stock more, which is between 200 and 800. If it is going beyond 800, then we can get to know there are no more users who are using this. So we have to reduce this product is not doing good. So via this, we are going to prevent as much as possible to either go out of stock or getting into too much of stock and getting into, the business aspects of it, like revenue loss or something. So this is how we are planning to manage it internally.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey Ramya, can we please go back to the wireframe?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out a small thing over here. I see that winter jacket costs $10 and black t-shirt is 12, but the total comes to 46. So and the quantity of black t-shirt is 3. So are we going to show the total price of the black t-shirt or
Oh,
the
yeah.
item, or just
yes,
the price of
item.
the single item? Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you so much for letting us know. Yeah, it has to be 36 here so that it is explicit enough for the user to understand the total is 46. Otherwise, there can be confusion here where the total can be 22, right?
Yeah, right.
Sure. Thanks for pointing it out. We're going to let the UX designer know about this to change this. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
So moving on to the next user story. So this cart management is nothing but in the add to cart page, we're either going to add or remove the quantities or the product altogether. So as we have mentioned here, this is linked to add to cart user story. These both user stories have to be shipped together. So this user story is dependent on add to cart user story, right? That is how this is going to work. So in this, as I already mentioned, user can increase or decrease item quantity or remove items from the cart. Cart automatically updates to reflect the changes. So that let it be a price update or let it be quantity update or out of stock notification. All those things are going to be updated here dynamically. And also if something is out of stock, user is going to let that know via the user interface and also via the email as well. And going to the last.
So when the user updates the if the user selected a shirt and he wants the same shirt like more in number, so did you take care of updating the pricing also?
Yes, if I'm not wrong, Vaibhavi, as she pointed out, we have taken care of the pricing in the total part, but when it comes to the individual product, right, next to it, we are not updating. Let's say quantity, I mean, the price is $50, and if the item is 4 numbers, instead of showing 200, we're just displaying 50. Was that your question?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that part has to be corrected. It will be taken care. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fine.
Thank you. So coming to the place order or the checkout. So here as a customer, I want to place an order. I want to review my cart. and I want to add all my address details, shipping details, and everything so that I can complete the purchase. And user can review all the items in the cart before finalizing the order. User can provide shipping address, payment information, and apply any discounts or promo codes that you provide, if any. For example, there's a Black Friday sale, right? Or there is some Christmas event where we're going to offer discounts based on the products, based on the locations, based on different kinds of festivals. We're going to show to the users here, and based on that, they can apply the promo codes. And the confirmation screen display is also provided. So this is how our wireframe is going to look like. So once they have selected, once they click on checkout, so we're going to say this is the total, the quantity of this product is 1, the quantities of this product is 3, and what is the shipping charge for their for the given address, and what is the grand total. And we're going to speak about the further information to give their details. And we're going to proceed to select payment type. So this is part of the checkout process. Any questions only with respect to checkout? Any of you? If not, I shall hand over it to Saheli. She's going to talk about payment integration. She is a business analyst, and thank you so much for this. And over to you, Saheli.
Thank you so much, Ramya. Yeah, hi all. So this is Saheli. I'm working as Ramya already mentioned, I'm working as a business analyst, and I'm here working for the payment module. So before I walk through all my user stories, I would like to show you the flow chart for the payment diagram so that you get some more clarity before we went through the payment user stories. Just allow me some time. I'm just sharing my screen. Please let me know if the diagram is visible to all of you.
We can see that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is basically like the payment gateway, what I have shown here. And here, like we have mostly focused on the debit card payment. So here, like if you see that the first option, like where Ramya has ended, like select the payment type option, like the proceed to the payment page. So from here, like we will select the payment type, and the payment type here we have mentioned like debit card. There will be other payment available as well, but we have covered as of now the debit card one. And if it is yes, then like you would you like to go for debit card, then you will see the view the order summary and enter debit card details. And if you click yes, then you will be directed to the click pay button. If you click no, then you will be able to cancel that, and you will be again redirect to the checkout page. Now going to the yes option, like you reach the click pay button. Now the system will check from the backend that whether your card details which you have provided is valid or not. If it is valid, then we will check that whether the funds are available or not. If the funds is available, then it will redirect to the OTP page. Otherwise, it will again like show you the transaction unsuccessful message, and it will be navigate to the checkout page for the further verification. So now if you provide the OTP verification page, if you provide the OTP, there also there will be kind of two scenario, like whether you have provided the correct OTP or not. If you have provided a correct OTP, then the OTP will be verified and your payment successful and order is placed successfully. That message will come to you. And if your OTP is incorrect, then you will again get an option like resend OTP. And if you once you receive the OTP, then again the flow will be same. And if again you give the wrong OTP, then it will be navigate to the select payment page. So that is all about our debit card option. And if any question for this flow diagram from anyone before I go to the other section.
Yeah, Sahili, I have one question. So it's a quite self-explanatory diagram. So the payment process, will it be a synchronous or asynchronous process?
So yeah, keeping in mind that payment is quite a critical module, and here involves customer money. So we have decided to go with the synchronized payment process, so that we can ensure that our customer is receiving the message once they done the payment, as soon as the money got deducted from their account.
Okay.
So
All
is
right.
that
Thanks.
answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay. So
Sahil, I have a question.
yeah,
So can the user be able to save multiple cards for future transactions? How is this processed?
yes, users should be able to save their transaction, like their card details, and also multiple card also will be available. And since there is involved some security concern or the consent from the customer as well, that whether they want to save it or not, so it won't be kind of a auto check, but we will take the customer consent, and we will use secure tokenization, and accordingly we will save their details.
Okay, so you're gonna show a message that whether it will be saved or not. So you're getting
Yes,
the
like that
consent
will
from
be,
the
yes,
customer.
yes, there will be a checkbox like whether they want to save it or not,
Okay.
and based on their consent, we will be saving their account, and it is not a mandatory.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. Good. Thank you.
Is there any other question on the flow diagram?
No, Sahili, and your voice is little feeble.
Okay, now is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for that. Hope
Yeah, this is better
my
now. This is
answers
much.
were audible. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, fine, fine. I will check once. Okay, so let me now go to my user stories.
Yeah.
I will share my screen again.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, so yeah, so as I mentioned that there will be first where Ramya has ended. So are you able to see the wireframe also, which I am showing?
Yeah.
Wireframe also you are able to see, right?
We can see the
Yes.
wireframe document.
Yes, yes, okay. So, this is the page which Ramya has shown that we will be checkout in the checkout page, and from here, you will get the redirect to the payment option. Okay, so let me go to my user story now. So if I go to my user story now, it talks about navigate to payment page. So when I click to that option, navigate to payment page in the checkout option, then it will be navigate to the payment page, and there will be proceed to select payment option, and you will be able to select as per your choice, like debit card or credit card, or any other option you want to select. Like we will also be having PayPal option as a third party gateway. So this will be the page in the select method. So this is the first user story about payment. Any question anyone is having on that?
Yes, Sahili, is there any specific payment gateways or any such providers with whom we have to integrate with?
Yeah, like as I mentioned that we will be integrating with the PayPal. As of now, we are continuing with PayPal, and we will see our experience, and accordingly we may add more third-party gateway also in future. As of now, it's PayPal.
All right. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. So now moving to my next user story. So this is like select debit card option, as I shown in the wireframe picture, that you can select the debit card option, and once you select it, you will be redirect to give the all the details, necessary details of your debit card, and the another checkpoint here will be when you select the debit card credit card option, it should be clickable. So this story talks about like you will be able to select the debit card option. So for this user story, anyone have any doubt, any question? Okay, so the next one is about enter the detail. So here you need to give your all your detail, like your your debit card number, your expiry date, CVV, and if you give all the correct option, then it will redirect to your next page. Otherwise, if you give any wrong option, you will get an error message like whether it's an invalid card, or if your card is not valid, your it's already been expired, then you will get the accordingly you will get the error message for your card. So this is your enter debit card details during the checkout. So any doubt so far anyone is having?
Hi, Sahili. I had a question here. So, are there any specific security means that we need to apply while collecting debit card details from the user?
Yes, like the market standard process like PCI DSS compliance, we are already adhering this. Apart from that, we are also adhering encryption. Like for the debit card, we will only be showing the last 4 digit, and other digit will be we will mask it, and we will also use the tokenization. Like each time it will generate different number in the backend, so that your data, the customer data, is secured with us. So all this like security thing we will be adhering for our debit card payment.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now moving to the next user story. Like once you give all the details, you will be redirect to the OTP page, as I already shown in the flow diagram. If your OTP is valid, then it will be in the next page. Otherwise, it will throw you an error message. Let me quickly show you the OTP page as well. So this will be the verify OTP page, and once you give the correct OTP, you will be able to move to the next page. Or if it is a wrong OTP, then for it will allow you to give another time, and it will be having the resend OTP button as well. So this is about your clicking on the OTP page. And apart from this,
Sahili,
yeah.
I have a question here. So
Yeah.
how many times can the user retry for the OTP? How many times you're giving the option?
So yeah, that's a good question, Soumya. Yes, so we are allowing 3 times to give the OTP, and after that your transaction will be blocked. So yeah, that's a good point. Let me add it somewhere here so that I don't forget. I will add it. Separate user
Okay,
story,
yeah, that's
as a
better.
negative user story, or like let me note it down here.
Maximum retry limit.
Yes, maximum retry limit. Let me note it down here, and later on I will add it under one negative scenario. Thanks for pointing it out.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
Okay. So next will be our payment summary page. So once you give the correct OTP option, then it will be redirect to the confirmation page that your payment is successful and your order is placed, and you will be able to track your order through your email as well. Whatever email ID you have given during your registration, it will be the message will be sent to that email ID. So that is all about the debit card payment, and the same we are doing for the credit card as well. So I have started writing the credit card, but it is on progress, and we will finish it soon. So maybe on the next refinement session, I can show you that.
Okay, great.
So that is all about the payment one. So I will hand it over to Sunal. Or if anyone have any question, you can ask, or I will hand it over to Sunal.
Yes, sir, you can unshare your screen. Okay, so that was good, quick session. Friends, you might have observed that we haven't assigned story points to our user stories, which we will do in our separate session. And for this session, thanks to everyone on this call who has worked so hard to make this session successful. And all our viewers, to avoid missing out on any future sessions, please subscribe to our channel. And if you appreciate our quality content, please hit that like button and share your thought in a comment section. So till next time, thank you everyone, and good night everyone. Thank you.